Good day. So the first question we're going to look at is number 1, which is really computation on money. I forget to put any money there, so I just wrote it in consumer arithmetic. And like I said in the document I would have sent earlier that covers the questions by topic, you had to know where you could get marks from, because you want to get minimum 40 on this paper out of the 100 marks that they have. So you had to see where I could pull marks from to make this paper easier for me to do. So don't get overwhelmed by the paper. You had to know, and that's why I'm showing you the topics and the marks you could get. You might be better at a topic, and some topics you just mightn't like. So if you're good at a topic or like a topic a little more, then do those questions. Make sure and try those questions, at least take a look at it, because a lot of the time students just get overwhelmed when they look at the paper and like, I can't do this, and end up leaving too much blank. Anything you leave blank is 0. So you want to try as much as possible. You have 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is a long time to go through the paper. So let me see where we could get easy marks from, and that was the purpose of this review, to show you where easy marks could come from. One of the easiest places to get marks, and it's a nice place to start as well, is number 1, because you're doing fractions since primary school. So here we have, and you could use a calculator, and I'll show you how to do it in your calculator after. I have 1 4/7 plus 2/3 minus 1 5/6. I could do it all in one, but let me break it up into pieces. I'm going to do the addition part first here. I put in my own brackets, meaning let me work that out first. It's always easier to use improper fractions. So 1/7 is 7 at 4. 11/7. So again, I multiply and then add. Again, all of this you're supposed to know by now. Plus 2/3. And the reason we use improper fractions is when we have to do multiplication and division. This one doesn't have that though. You have to use improper fractions. So I could only add or subtract fractions if the bottom number, the denominators, are the same. If they're not the same, we need to make them the same by finding the LCM, the lowest common multiple, the number that they have in common. And the easiest way to get that is just to multiply the two numbers together. Now sometimes they might have a number in common and we could get a smaller number, but this one, 7 and 3, have nothing in common, so 7 3s, both of them could go into 21. So now I want to turn 7 into 21. To turn 7 into 21, 7 3s are 21, because that's what I just multiplied by. And whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the top as well. So all of them have to get the same treatment, 11 3s. So 33/21 is the same as 11/7 when I divide both of them by 3. Same thing on this side. I want to turn this to 21. So 7 3s 21. Whatever you do the bottom, you have to treat the top the exact same way. So 7 2s 14. So this first one is really 47/21. And for reaching this far, I'm showing that I could add 1 mark. So I have 1 out of the 2 marks that this question worth so far. So I just find out here is 47/21. To have different ways you could do this. Sometimes people cross multiply here and here, but you could only do that if you're using the LCM as 7 by 3 on the bottom. So you realize 7 3 is 33, 7 by 2, 14. But again, that's only if you're using the LCM as 7 by 3. You're multiplying the 2 bottom numbers. Same thing on this side. Minus, again, I'm not going to use the mixed number. I'm going to change it to improper fraction. 1 6 is 6 at 5. 11/6. Now the LCM here, 6 and 21 actually have a number in common, and I'll do it both ways just to show you. So the first way I'm going to do it is if we're using the LCM just like this. I'm multiplying the bottom to get the LCM. 21 by 6 and 21 by 6 is going to give me 126. And again, you're allowed to use a calculator for these bigger numbers, right? So to change this from 21 to 126, we multiply by 6. That's how we get the 126. But wherever you do the bottom, you have to do the top. I want to multiply 47 by 6 on my calculator otherwise, because you're allowed to use your calculator. If you notice, I'm going to get 282. Same thing on this side. To go from 6 to 126, I need to multiply by 21, because remember we're just multiplying by these numbers here. So I multiply the top by 21. I'm going to get 231. So my answer when I subtract the top is 51/126. And that's my answer. I'll get full marks. This could reduce though, and I want to show you if we was to do this next way. So let me look back at the same question. 47/21 minus 11/6. The lowest common multiple, because this wasn't the lowest, both of them have a factor 3 in common. The lowest common multiple would actually be 42. And nothing wrong if you didn't see the 42 and you use this. It's still perfectly fine. If I had no 42 though, my numbers would have been easier. To go from 21 to 42, I multiply by 2. 47 by 2, so I'm going to get 94 here. And then same thing on this side. To go from 6 to 42, I multiply by 7. Again, knowing your tables helps a lot. So again, 17/42. Now it mightn't look like the same answer, but if I was to divide 51 by 3, I'm going to get 17. And if I divide 126 by 3, 42. So if they had asked for the answer in its lowest terms, this would have been it. So either one of these will be fine. But the reality is, sometimes if you notice the smaller numbers, the working will be easier if you notice. If you don't though, this is still fine. You'll just be a little more reliant on the calculator. One other method I want to show you is if we was to use the calculator. I hope all you could see it on the calculator as well. So you could do this whole question on your calculator. Let me see if I could rest it there to get all to show. So we have a fractions button on the calculator. This is the fraction button here. And we could just put in that whole thing on the calculator and see what it looks like. Again, this is the fraction button. It have a little slash to make it the fraction. So all we're going to do, every time we want to write a piece of the fraction, we're going to press that button. So if I want to write 1 and 4/7, I'm going to write 1 fraction button, 4 fraction button, 7. That means 1 and 4/7. And now, after I get 1 and 4/7, I want to add 2/3. So 2 fraction button, 3. Now we could do the whole thing in one step, but I just want to show you. When we are done that part, we get 2 remainder, 5. It's not looking like the same thing, but because I add it up there, 21 times 2 is 42, and I have 5 over 21. So they write it back in the same way. And now I want to minus 1 fraction button, 5 fraction button, 6. I want to divide that by there. Realize I get 17 over 42. Sorry, I hope you can see the 17 over 42, which is 17 over 42 with the R equivalent to the slash here. But you see how you could do this on your calculator and get the answer immediately, and how long it takes to do on your calculator. So when you're doing these questions in the future, try them on your calculator as well. And we would have some more to look at. I just want to show you how you could do it on your calculator. And if I was to do it in one step, because again I broke it up into steps, I'm going to show it in one step here. 1 fraction button, 4 fraction button, 7 plus 2 fraction button, 3 minus 1 fraction button, 5 fraction button, 6, and I get the answer immediately. How long did that take? That take less than a minute. This work can take one longer though, and I'm still going to get my answer because they said using a calculator or otherwise. While we on the calculator, because computations, make sure you use your calculator at some point, to be honest, especially in this first one. They want to make sure you know how to use this. This is an important thing to be able to use going forward for higher maths and so on. So in this one, this is cube root. I don't know if you're going to see the cube root there. So cube root of 27. If I'm not sure what cube root of 27 is, I have a cube root button on my calculator. Look at here on top, and again to access anything on the body of the calculator. To access anything on the body of the calculator, I press the orange button. It kind of color coded. So cube root, you see the cube root come up. 27. So cube root of 27 is 3. So that top part going to be 3 over 9 squared. 9, I have a square button on my calculator as well. See how they're just making sure you could use your calculator. 3 over 81, but they want it in the lowest terms. That's why it's 2 marks. If I leave it as 3 over 81, I might just get 1 mark because I didn't break it down to its lowest terms. So 3 and 81 have 3 in common. So 3 into 3, 1. And if I'm not sure what 81 into 3 is, I have my calculator. I'm going to use it. 81 divided by 3. 27. So 1 over 27 would have been my answer. For 2 marks, for 1 mark, if I left it at that, that's what I would end up. Next one. So sometimes they'll have little thinking questions as well to compute something, and we're going to see it here. The thickness of, line it up properly, the thickness of one sheet of cardboard is given as 485 times 10 to the minus 2. Sorry, the print didn't print out too well. Millimeters. A construction worker uses 75 sheets of cardboard to stack a wall, and they give me the answer. I just have to show how I get in the answer. Show that the exact thickness of this insulation is 363.75. So let me see what we have so far. One sheet is 485 times 10 to the minus 2. I'll work that out on my calculator after. Millimeters, and I want for 75 sheets. So if 1 is 485 times 10 to the minus 2, 2 will be twice as much. 2 times 485 times 10 to the minus 2, 10 will be 10 times 485 times 10 to the minus 2. So 75 will be 75 times as much. 75 by 485 times 10 to the minus 2. Again, you bring in your calculator. 75 by 485 times 10. And again, to get the minus 2 button, this button raises it to any power. minus 2. And again, you have to know how to use your calculator, because you're losing marks if you don't know how to use your calculator and get this. 363.75, 363.75, which is what they asked me to show. So because I showed that, I get 1 mark, and I was just being able to use your calculator. Now, this is where the approximation parts come in. They want this answer correct to 2 significant figures. So right now I have 363.75, 2 significant figures. How much significant figures is I have now? Every digit in a number significant. So this really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant figures. The only digits we don't check is if the zeros at the end, either in front or behind. If the zeros in the middle, we check it. So all of these numbers significant. And I only want 2. So these are the most significant, these are the least significant. So starting at the beginning, I'm keeping 1, 2. Here's my cutoff point. You look at the next value. If it's 5 or more, you round up. It's not 5 or more, so it's going to be 3, 6. But for significant figures, I need to show where the point is. And I fill in that space with 0. So these are my 2 significant figures. These zeros at the end don't count. That's what my answer to 2 significant figures will be. Same thing for this next one. They want this in to 1 decimal place. How much decimal places does this currently have? It has 2 numbers after the point, so this currently has 2 dp, or 2 decimal places. If I want 1, I only want 1 number after the point. This is my cutoff point. It is 5 or more this time, so here I'm going to increase by 1. So it will be 363 point, and instead of 7, it rounds up to 8, and that is the 1 decimal point they're talking about. So again, you realize number 1 is 9 marks. I want to finish this first video so I could look at the next question. We're already running along at over 11 minutes. So in standard form again, 363.75. Standard form is the one where we need to write this back as a number that could fit between 1 and 10 by moving the point. So you realize they're going through the different types of approximations we have. Significant figures, decimal places, standard form. So I'm going to write this back without the point. I need to put the point in such a place that where I put the point, the new number has to fit between 1 and 10. So it's 300 and something. That can fit between 1 and 10. If I go this side, that's 3,000, 36,000. If I put the point here, that's 36. So if I put the point here, 3.6375, that could fit between 1 and 10. 3 is greater than 1, 3 is less than 10. So it'll always be after your first whole number. Multiply by 10. Now I put the point here, but the point should really be 1, 2 spaces to the right. And if we move into the right, that's what my answer is going to look like. Alright, and we can write it in different forms. As well, we could have put 3.638 if we was going to use the one for decimal places. Once we have the number between 1 and 10, and 10 to the minus 2, we could put 3.64 times 10 to the minus 2. All of those go work once we have a number between 1 and 10 and the correct exponent. Let me look at this one. Marco is on vacation in the Caribbean. He changes 4,500 Mexican pesos to ECD dollars, Eastern Caribbean dollars. He receives 630 ECD. He wants to know what the exchange rate is. So for exchange rate, you only have 2 things you could do. You could either multiply or divide by the exchange rate. That's all you could do. That's what makes exchange rate so you have to know which one is which. So let me see. So Eastern Caribbean dollars, 630 is equivalent to Mexican 4,500. And I want 1 Eastern Caribbean dollar. So to get anything to turn into 1, you divide it by itself. So if I divide 630 by 630, you're going to cancel out, give them a 1, which is what I want, ECD dollar. And this is a trick you'll see a lot going on that I would use a lot to turn something into 1. So whatever you do to one side, and we saw that before, you have to do it to the next as well. So because I divide this side by 630 to get the 1 that I wanted, because I wanted 1, I have to divide the next side by 630. So when I work this out in my calculator, I'm going to get my answer. 4,500 over 630. That's what 1 Eastern Caribbean dollar will be. And to 3 decimal places or 2 decimal places, we're going to get 7.13. I'll do a next video for the next set of questions just now.